So as far as Snapshot is concerned, we have to first launch two instances. So in sync with the theory, first we have to launch an instance in 2A availability zone. So let's quickly go launch an instance. So let me name it as server 1. Going ahead with Windows. Choose the AMI. So go ahead with 2022 base. So create a new key pair. Give the key pair's name. So server key 1. Create key pair. So here in the network settings, choose the default VPC, and in the subnet we are supposed to choose the availability zone. So our current instance has to be launched in 2A availability zone, so I'm going to go ahead with selecting 2A. Enable the public IP. Select the existing security group, which I already have configured. So if you don't have, go ahead with creating a new security group. So selecting the default VPC security group. Okay, here. So as discussed in the theory, we already have 30 GB of volume, upon which we have to add 2 GB of volume. So your 30 GB is the root volume, and the type of your volume is GP2. So we have various types, which is the general purpose SSD GP3, general purpose SSD GP2, and provisioned IOPS SSD, provisioned IOPS SSD, IO2, cold HDD, and throughput optimized HDD, and magnetic, which is a classic one. So as of now, we're gonna go ahead with GP2 type and add new volume to that. So the size that we require is 2 GB. You can go ahead with any size, but in fact let me just go ahead with 2 GB, and let me choose GP2 here. It's always a good practice to go ahead with the same type of your backend store, which is GP2 for the first volume and GP2 for the second volume. You can even go ahead with GP3, but it's always a best practice to follow the same type of volume for the root volume as well as the non-root volume. So quickly go ahead with launch instance. So view all instances. Now I'm gonna quickly go launch another instance. So let me give the name as server 2, choosing the Windows AMI. Windows Server 2022 base. Okay, create a new key pair. Create key pair. edit the network settings. So this instance is going to be launched in default VPC of subnet, which is going to be in the availability zone 2B. Choose the subnet associated with it. Enable the auto assign IP. Click on the existing security group. Again, we're going to be performing the same set of operations, but your storage is going to be modified a bit here. We're not going to be adding up anything up to the storage. Let the root volume be the same and quickly go launch the instance. Refresh the page once. So let's wait for the status to change from initialization to the pass checks. So here we can see the server 1, which is under running state. So these are the servers which I had terminated earlier, so we're not going to be using that anymore. And here I have the running server, which is in the initialization phase and it's launched under the availability zone US East 2A, and the server 2 which we launched is under the availability zone 2B. The first server is available. Let's wait for the second server. So meanwhile, let's just quickly go connect the first server. Selecting the first server, performing connect. So download your remote desktop file, keep it in your downloads, get the password, upload the private key, which is the server key 1, decrypt password, copy the password, go to your downloads, open the file, paste the password, establish the connection. So the disk we had attached to in the volume will be here, but it shouldn't have been in any initialized or any available format. So we are supposed to initialize that. So we'll go ahead with seeing how to initialize your disk once the instance is ready for us to go ahead with. So we've connected our virtual server. So now go to Windows E. So go to PC. So you wouldn't be able to see the two volume which is attached. So we have to make it online and we have to allocate it and we have to attach it with the existing disk. So how do we do that? So I'm going to be performing disk management.mse command in my search. So we can see the 12 GB which is being attached, means it's available here, but we have to make it online. Go make it online. Now it is in not initialized status, so we have to initialize this. Right click, initialize the disk, click OK. So now it is still unallocated. We have to make it allocated to the existing disk. So go to new simple volume, click next, click next, click next, click next, and finish. Now the volume is available for us. So the snapshot will be performed on this particular volume, which is volume D. So whatever the data this non-root volume is going to be having will be backed to the availability zone 2B. So let's create a folder as of now to just demonstrate how Snapshot is working. So let me just give the name as demo of Snapshot. So let's keep this aside. Now go to your console, go to instances, just quickly check if the other server is ready to establish the connection. Yeah, the server 2 is also ready now. Now click on server 1, go to storage. So here we can see the volumes that's allocated for this particular instance, which is server 1. So the volume IDs are given here. We have the volume size and the status of the volume is in use. So now we can see the status of the non-root volume is also attached to the existing volume, which is in use. Now we have to create the snapshot of this particular volume. Go to that volume, select the volume, go to actions, go to create snapshot, give the name of the snapshot. So you can see the status of the snapshot is non-encrypted, which means we had not performed or we had not enabled the encryption option while loading the EBS volume. So that's the important thing we have to remember when it comes to snapshot. So if the volume is encrypted, obviously the snapshot which is going to be created will also be encrypted. But if the volume is not encrypted, the snapshot is also not going to be encrypted. So let's just go ahead with not encrypted feature. So let's just give the name of the snapshot, create the snapshot. Now go to your EBS block store, go to your snapshot. So we can see the snapshot is created, but just check on the status of the snapshot. It is still pending, which means the process is on. So it should change from pending to available. So we can see the progress of the snapshot is 0%, and we have to wait for the status to change to the available. This is gonna take some time. So now it is available for us. Progress is 100%, snapshot status is complete. Once the status is available, click on the snapshot, go to actions. Now we need this backup, we need a backup of this. So we have taken the backup, which is basically the snapshot, which is in one-time backup. So we have to select the snapshot, and we are supposed to create a volume where the snapshot has to go and get relocated to. So this has to go sit somewhere. It already has its volume of 2 GB, and hence it would also be requiring a volume of same 2 GB. Go to actions, create volume from snapshot. So now we require 2 GB, which is already here. And the type of your SSD is, I had already told you, it's always a best practice to go ahead with having the same type of backend store. And the input output service that's provided as the base limit is 100 and the higher limit is 3000. So this totally depends on the type of hard disk drive that we use or the backend store that we use. In case if you are deploying an application which is going to be having some higher input output operations, which you call as input output intensive workloads, we might be deploying application which requires storage intensive task. Then we might offer cold HDD or throughput optimized HDD. There might be applications which require a memory intensive task or storage as well as IO intensive tasks. Then we can go ahead with general purpose SSD, because they even provide as the upper limit as 3000 IOPS for us. So let's go ahead with GP2. And now the availability zone that we have to choose here is 2B, because our instance 2 is in 2B. So we haven't encrypted the snapshot, but in case if you would want the encryption to happen, you can choose it here. So the volume that is going to get created will be encrypted. I'm just going to go ahead with the existing option. I'm not going to be encrypting it, but it's always the best practice to go ahead with encrypting the volume. Create volume. Now if we go to volume here, we can see 4 volumes associated here. So we have 2 volumes in 2A and we have 2 volumes in 2B. So here we are supposed to select the volume which was just attached. So let me just give a refresh to this volume IDs, and we have to attach the volume. So we have to select the volume which is being added now, which is in 2B, which is available for us. Go to actions, go ahead with attach volume. Now choose the instance to which the volume has to get attached to, which is the server 2, and the device name, which is, so the device is already attached to the Windows operating system with the path DEVSDA1. So we have other data volumes devices available for Windows. So let's go ahead with the first option that is given for us. Attach the volume. So now the status of the volume will be in use. Select the volume, refresh the page. Now go to the instances. Select the second server, connect to the server, download the remote desktop file. So we're gonna be performing the same set of operations here. So upload the private key, the server 2's key, decrypt the password, copy the password, go to downloads, open the server to connect with it, paste the password, say yes. So now we've logged into the second server. Let's wait for the server to get loaded. So Windows E, go to this PC. It just has the root volume attached to it. So now we have to perform the disk management operation. So again, go to diskmanagement.msc. So click the disk management operation. Now we can see the 2 GB which is available for us to get attached. Make it online. Oh, it is already initialized. Now right click this. Okay, it is already attached now because we have performed the snapshot. Now go to the volume D. We would be able to find the snapshot that we had done, which means the folder which we created in our server 1 is now being attached to server 2 with your point in time snapshot operation. So with that, just keep it aside. Go to your console, go to your instances. Now we have to see the cleanups that we have to make once your practice is done. So select the servers, the instances, terminate the instances. So let's wait for the status to move from shutting down to termination. So the status should change from shutting down to terminated, and your remote server wouldn't be available once you have shut down your system. So just wait for the status to change to terminated. Now we have to go to the Elastic Block Store. There we have to go to the volumes. We can see the volumes which had been associated with the instances and the snapshots here. So before going to that, go to the snapshots, select the snapshot, go to actions, delete snapshot, delete it. Now go to the volumes. You would be able to see only the volumes associated with your root volumes and non-root volumes. Select all the volumes, go to actions, delete volume. So if you want to attach your volume or delete your volume, it's up to us. So before deleting or terminating your instances, if you want the 2 GB volume to get detached from your volume, then you have an option here in volumes. We have to select the volume, go to actions, we have an option called detach. So initially we attach the volume. when we were about to perform the snapshot. Now when you are cleaning up, we can detach it and then we can go ahead with deleting the volume. But as I had directly deleted the instances, this is already detached for me now, and hence I'm able to perform the delete operation directly. So that's how your snapshot works. So your snapshot is regional, which means, just a second. So I'm right now in Ohio. So I can perform within Ohio region in any availability zone under Ohio. This is regional, but if I would want to be cross-regional, I can even do it, which means I can create a snapshot. I can go ahead with an option. I can see here. So here in snapshot, if you go to actions, we have an option called copy snapshot. So once we click on this copy snapshot, it should be taking us to the destination where we want the snapshot of our data. So go ahead with that and perform the cross-regional operation of snapshot. That's gonna consume a lot of time, because if you're having some hefty amount of data which you want it to be backed up, then you can go ahead with this option, and it requires some time and depends on your internet speed, but obviously the latency is as lesser as compared to the infrastructure, the internet infrastructure. So that's the service of AWS that's provided to us, and there are 50 million users around in the globe who moved from their traditional backup process to AWS service process, because a snapshot uses microservices. So it initially though started as a cloud native service, now it is all microservice, which means the dependencies between one service and the other service is completely acceptable, and it's totally independent of the computing resources and the servers and the rack placement and all those, and hence number of users using snapshots through AWS service across the globe has exponentially increased. So that's about snapshot. So let's meet up in another session. Till then, bye bye, take care.